first big one is, will Clayton Kershaw call it a career? Will Clayton Kershaw retire? Now, let's first kind of look at where he's at as a player, because his season before the injury, he was fantastic. He was someone that was in the conversation for the Cy Young, for being the starting pitcher for the second consecutive All-Star team for himself. He's going to be a star in the All-Star game, right? But unfortunately, it was a shoulder injury. It derailed his season, and it was officially listed as inflammation. Clearly, it was much worse than they were leading on. He ended up missing 6 weeks, and then when he returned, the command was off. The velocity was down. He wasn't as effective. He was getting the results, but some of his expected numbers, you look at his expected FIP and his Sierra and his expected ERA, they're much higher than the ERA that he did post at 2.23. Now, where he's at as a pitcher, I think, is largely going to be determined on his health. If he goes and gets second opinions and he gets his shoulder evaluated and they tell him that he has to get surgery, I think that could be it. I think that is 100%. It's over. 16 years, the career is a wrap for Clayton Edward Kershaw. But if they tell him that he doesn't have to get surgery or anything like that, and that he can still pitch, I still believe that Clayton Kershaw can be effective. I still think that he can help this team. And he told Andy McCullough of The Athletic that he was going to take some time off, get some opinions. Andy McCullough of The Athletic wrote, a year ago after the 111-win Dodgers crashed out early in the postseason, Kershaw opted to come back to Los Angeles after only a few days of discussion with his wife, Ellen. This year, he told The Athletic on Wednesday, he will take longer to decide. He is considering undergoing an additional examination on his left shoulder, which he injured in late June. This shoulder condition, which Kershaw has declined to specify, led to reduced fastball velocity and diminished command in the final months of the season. He indicated he was unlikely to engage in serious contemplation about his future for several weeks. So that lets you know where he's at. And after the game, if you just kind of read the tone of his voice after the Dodgers got eliminated by the Diamondbacks in Game 3 of the NLDS, if you listen to the tone of his voice, it still sounded like it's completely up in the air. It doesn't feel like a decision has been made. Here, give a listen to Clayton Kershaw as he discussed his offseason, his future with reporters after the Dodgers NLDS loss to the D-backs.
Kershaw, how will you approach this offseason personally, mentally, and thinking about your future beyond this season?
I'm not sure about that either. I'm not sure how it's going to look.
You said over the last couple of years, it's always year to year for you. At this point, you talk about processing it. Is there anything different about this offseason as you go into it compared maybe to the last two?
I think so. Yeah, I'm just trying to. Well, yeah, but I'm not going to. We'll see. I'm not sure. I don't know how to answer that right now.
Clayton, I mean, what is the feeling like of 2-3 hours ago you were thinking about pitching tomorrow?
Yeah, it's yeah. I mean, obviously you're focused on pitching and getting ready to face the guys again, and I think just the mental letdown now of knowing that you're done for the season, and there'll be a physical letdown too. Your body will let you know the season's over. So all that stuff, man, it's just all stuff that's no fun unless you win the last game.
So by the sound of his voice, it really tells you that I think it's still up in the air. He's very disappointed. And for me, is he going to return? I personally believe that he's 56 strikeouts away from 3,000. That's a major milestone. Only 19 guys sitting at that table in that club. You factor that in. You factor in that even with the diminished velocity and the command issues, he was still hitting 90 in his last start. Now, the command was bad. It was terrible. It was the worst start of his career. But that tells me that with an offseason of rehab, that maybe right now he feels like, okay, it's a lot of work in between starts. But once he gets some rest, once he realized that, hey, that is going to be my lasting memory, that's going to be the last image that fans have of me, is going just a third of an inning, giving up 6 runs, becoming the first guy in the postseason to allow 5 hits to the first 5 batters, the guy that get absolutely rocked 6 runs an inning. Kirsch does not want to end his career like that, because that is going to be a burnt-in image for a lot of fans. For me, it won't. I'll think of the no-hitters. I'll think of the no-hitter in 2014. I'll think of the great starts. I'll think of Game 1 of 2017 World Series. I'll think of him running out of that bullpen with his hands in the sky after the Dodgers won the 2020 World Series. It won't be for me, but I think from a pride standpoint, that is not the lasting image, okay? You want to give him another crack at this. And I think the bottom line is he still feels like he can compete. He still feels like he can be effective. I was told from a source towards the end of the season that if nothing improved, that there was a better than 50-50 shot that he would retire. But then what I tell you after his last start, if you looked up in the stands, who did you not see? In his last start against the San Francisco Giants in the regular season, I didn't see Clayton Kershaw. I didn't see Charlie and all the kids. If that was going to be his potentially last start in the regular season, you would have to believe that they would be there. Now, I think it's still possible that he does retire, but I don't think that it will be for another franchise. That's really first and foremost. I think if he calls it a career, he's going to hang him up and it won't be for another team. I think that the Texas Rangers are a team that you've heard discussed, and they've been linked to Kersh for a long time. And I can tell you, too, that they offered him a good amount of money on a multi-year deal to bring him down to Texas in previous off seasons, right? Because Kersh has been doing the 1 year thing every single year. He actually was the Dodgers' biggest free agent signing last year, a 1 year, $20 million deal, right? And for him to go to Texas, I don't think that's going to happen. The reason why I don't think that he would sign with the Rangers is that they would expect to a degree the Cy Young Kershaw, the Hall of Famer Kershaw. They would probably expect a little more from him. With the Dodgers, he knows that they know his body more than anyone else. They know what he has to do in between starts. They know about his routine. I don't think at this stage late in his career, he's going to want to go to Texas. I don't think that he's like that, right? I don't think that he wants to retire as a little bit of a sideshow in Texas. He doesn't want to be Elvis going to Vegas, right? He doesn't want to be that at this stage of his career. Also, this is someone who he met his wife, Ellen, when they were 16, and he married her, and he's a creature of habit, right? This guy, he's a stickler for routine. He does not like change. I just could not see him in another team's uniform. So his options are sign with his childhood team, the Texas Rangers, retire, or come back with the Dodgers. Now, I think come back with the Dodgers makes a ton of sense because here's the thing. If you look at the innings he pitched last season, he ends up pitching 131 and 2/3 innings, had a 2.46 ERA, a 4.03 FIP, a 3.57 xFIP. And I think if you get that innings count down to under 100, maybe you go out there and trade for another starting pitcher. Walker Buehler's back. Bobby Miller takes another step forward. Emmett Sheehan. I think the key for Clayton Kershaw is to optimize what you have. You can't be in a position where Kershaw is your number one starter. He can't be your game starter, but I still think he can help this team. And when you consider the contract at $20 million, you're helping this team. You're also providing butts in the seats, jersey sales. It'll be a little pseudo Kershaw farewell tour, even though he won't announce that it's his retirement season. But I think that is what the message will be. So I wouldn't be shocked if he retired, but I still think that he wants to come back and probably give this one more go. I mean, I can't imagine that's what he wants to be his lasting image. His last start on the mound is against the DS, where it's his worst start of his career. So he's too much of a competitor, too fiery to do that, in my opinion. But let me know down below. Do you guys think that Clayton Kershaw is going to retire? Do you think he should retire? He turns 36 in March. And yeah, I mean, he's someone who, like I said, you're not going to get the Clayton Kershaw of old. Just hopefully you don't get the old Kershaw, a guy with the vintage arm, right? A guy that doesn't have it anymore. But let's dive into the comments. I want to hear from you guys over here. We got DC. Kersh would make sense for a 6-man rotation. Yeah, I've got some thoughts on that in a little bit. Pound for pound, sign Ohtani, cut Kershaw, bring back Kike. I don't think you're going to cut Kershaw. He's a free agent. But we got Mike. We got keep Kershaw, get that 3K mark, run a 6-man rotation, till All-Star break, then move him to the pen and run a 5-man rotation. So response to that is he doesn't have the repertoire and stuff to bring him out of the bullpen. Okay, we're talking about a 90-mile-per-hour at best 4-seam fastball, a slider where if he has the feel for it, he's going to be effective, a curveball as well. So for me, it's a number 3 starter, number 2 starter. I think that could be pushing it, but I think number 3 starter is, to me, the ceiling at this point for a World Series contending team. We got Kershaw needs to hang up his glove. That's from Yuri over on YouTube. We got, yeah, look, this is the thing. If he doesn't think he can be effective, he's not going to go out there and be a role player. I've said here on the past, he is more of a Kobe Bryant than a Vince Carter. He does not want to come off the bench and be a role player. He's not that kind of guy. He's not going to be like an Oral Hershiser type that bounces around, just wants to stay on the mound. This is someone that he knows he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's an iconic player. But the reality is, you look at this Dodgers rotation and guys they could sign. Unless you go out there and get a Blake Snell, right? You need a left-handed pitcher, right? I mean, Urias, of course, he's gone. You look at some of these guys coming up, you might want a lefty, and Kershaw could still provide value and fill a role for this team. A couple more here, and we'll change the next topic. We got a very interesting next topic. I know you guys are going to have a lot to say about. We got Mental over on YouTube. Should have kept Bauer because he would have set the tone. I mean, I think that's really an issue with the organization, MLB, and a lot of interesting stuff that has emerged and come out of involving Trevor Bauer in recent weeks. And yeah, I mean, the reality is Trevor Bauer is someone that really would have still been on this team, and that really was the goal. So yeah, they have not prioritized starting pitching to a degree, but it's not like they didn't go out there and make Trevor Bauer the highest paid pitcher per AAV. It's just, you had the off the field, you had the controversy. Won't dive into that, but yeah, he's someone that absolutely could have helped this team. No Ortega, I'm worried about him getting injured in the middle of next year and requiring surgery. I mean, look, that's the risk for any pitcher. I mean, it's the nature of the business. He's a guy who's never had that major surgery that you speak of. So look, I need to see him hit 3K, 56 punch outs away. Come get the 3K. Give me 90 to 100 innings. I like the idea of a 6-man rotation. Allow these young pitchers to continue to get reps and continue to grow into being everyday members of this starting rotation. The Ryan Pepios of the world. Hopefully Gavin Stone has a better year. Emmett Sheehan and Bobby Miller. And then they're going to have to sign a guy, a trade for a starting pitcher. I'm going to bring up some of those names in a little bit here.